Hey, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Crow Archery and Motorcycle Adventures. I'm Crow, your host, and today's video is actually going to be more like a story. I decided that what I was going to do in light of the whole Johnny Depp thing that's going on and, the whole Will Smith thing that was going on, I was actually for once going to give my personal story. And in fact, it's the whole reason that I really started this YouTube channel. Now, if you go back and you watch a lot of my videos throughout the years, I talk about, throughout the year or year and a half, however long I've been doing this channel, you'll notice that I talk a lot about narcissism and my experience with narcissism, but I've never gone into full detail about what my full experience was. And I felt that now's the time to kind of for y'all to get a chance to know more about me, my experiences, kind of just leveling with you. And of course, I'm going to share this on my various other forms of social media besides YouTube. And if people want to learn about it or anything, they can by clicking the video. If they don't, whatever, it doesn't bother me. But here we go. So, I want to say it was a little over a year ago. I know it was the end of 2020. Well, not the end of 2020. It was May of 2020. That's when my ex-wife and I had split up the second time. And then over the course of time, that's when I decided, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to fill my time and, be on my purpose and all of that. Well, the thing was, all of, my marriage and everything started in 2017. In fact, it was December of 2017. And back then, I had just gotten in trouble with the law and out of it, got my court case over with, and I was placed into a program under Kentucky State Drug Court, is what it's called. And basically what happens is, for 2 years, you're put on a probated kind of period to where you're drug tested, you have to attend meetings, you get home visits, all of that. Well, one of the big rules in drug court is that they don't recommend or they don't encourage you to get into a relationship while you're in drug court for various reasons. And honestly, I should have listened to that, but I didn't. In fact, I was so stuck in my mind in this idea that I just wanted to be loved, because as who I am, I have a lot of love to give to, someone or just all my friends and my family, and I wanted to have that same thing in return. So at the point and expense of me settling for basically anything that would show me any form of that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, ended up, I met this girl. We hit it off pretty well. Now, there were several red flags that I should have paid attention to, but I didn't, at first, a lot of the victim mentality of all my friends or all my exes are terrible and they're all abusive and they're all terrible and beat me and all this other crap. And, of course, back then, I was a little bit younger too. Back then, it was literally just eating all of it up, because I was feeling that sense of validation. Like somebody was enjoying being around me and seemed to have liked me for who I am. Well, okay, fast forward a little bit. We end up getting married, and then during the course of that time, I ended up getting in trouble with drug court a couple of times to where I ended up having my probation revoked, and then I ended up going to Green River Correctional Complex, which is a Kentucky State prison. In total time, I did about 13 months, but while I was in there, that's when I came to learn that the person that I thought that I loved and that loved me and that I had married, No. They literally dipped out within maybe a week and a half after I went in. Like, sure, they would always answer the phone and, send a letter here and there. But during that time, I didn't understand or realize that it was just, that phishing kind of thing. Because back then, I didn't really understand, psychological predators and their nature and the things that they do and all of that. But over the course of time, well, anyways, while I was in there, we're talking, man, I've been through it, man. I've been called everything in the book. I've had things thrown at me. My eyes have been blackened from being hit. That person ran around on me with God knows who, what, when, how many times, where, all of that. And I mean, if you could imagine, it's probably happened. I remember one of the things that was thrown at me was a pair of scissors, and I watched them literally go by my face. And I turn and I look, and I've got this person coming at me with it was like some kitchen utensil, and just swinging all those problems, spitting in my face and kicking and screaming like a freaking toddler and doing all of these things. And now, over the course of time, I came to learn that person, while I was in prison, was out here messing around with everyone that I thought was my friend. She would go out and make up all of these stories about how I was this god-awful person, just running my name through the mud in any way, shape, or form. Now, yes, it was my fault that, I'd gotten in trouble and ended up going to jail because I wasn't home for a home visit. That was the final thing that ended up getting me kicked out of drug court, and that was my fault. I take full responsibility for every single thing that I had done. But I apparently was also, for a long time, was being put into this light, being accused of things that I've never even done, I've never even heard of. It's news to me, and honestly is laughable from basically anyone who truly knows me. They know that I'm not that person. Now, anyway, so I had gotten out, and like an idiot, I told myself, I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to get back with her. I'm going to just move on with my life, start something new, yada yada. But of course, all the guys in there had told me, man, when you get out, here's what's going to happen. She is going to try to meet up with you, and then she is going to throw it on you, and basically all is going to be forgiven. And at the time, I'm just thinking, nah, that's crap. That's BS. That's not true. Well, that's exactly what ended up happening. And back then, again, I was stuck in this psychological stranglehold, thinking of, I wanted to fix my marriage, I wanted to start a family, I wanted to do all of these things, when in all actuality, I was just robbing myself and putting myself through so much, abuse, mistreatment. I mean, seriously. Well, how it all ended, we had ended up finding out that she was pregnant. And now I just look at it like it was probably never mine to begin with. And that's, it sucks. It is what it is. But you live and you learn. We move on. Well, during the time, I hadn't known yet, or I did know and I just didn't want to accept. I think in my intuition and in my heart I knew, but I just, no. Well, anyways, it was like right at 6 months after we had gotten back together, and find out she's pregnant and all this stuff. Well, in this aspect, I never wanted her to get an abortion. The truth is, I can't stop that. And even if I would have gone out of my way to try to cause a scene and all these things, it wasn't going to change anything. It wouldn't change anything. And I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. That's a different can of worms and debate. But the point was, is I didn't agree with it. but I wasn't going to be a giant kid about it. You can't afford to be, you know? Decisions like that are, at the end of the day, up to one person. And they're going to do whatever they want to do regardless. That's human nature. It sucks, but it is what it is. Well, she had gotten that all planned and everything, and then went off and did it. Well, a little, fill in the blank area of where it's kind of like the cherry on top. So, I used to have a 1978 Camaro. I loved that car. And I drove it around everywhere. Well, a little bit after I got out of prison, I ended up buying my 1970 Monte Carlo, and I love that car. But my ex-wife's car had gone down, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to sell this Camaro, and then I'm going to use that money to go buy you a car. All right, cool. Sell it, go buy another car the next day. Well, about a week later, the radiator had started acting up on it, and it blew out, and I'm like, okay. Well, at that time, the government had sent out $1,400 stimulus checks to all, United States citizens and all of that. And so I went, and she got her $1,400, I got my $1,400. So with my $1,400, I spent $400 of it on an air conditioning unit for our house, and then $300 more of it to go buy a radiator and put it in this car that I had bought her. All of her money went to her. And I shouldn't have to ask, in my mind, I shouldn't have had to ask for, help because of doing all these things. It should just, that should be common courtesy and done. Relationships are 50-50, especially when it comes to finances and money, unless there is, different kind of situation. But I feel that everything is 50-50, period. Or you could say 100%, 100%, but I think you understand what I'm saying. So I fixed the car, and it takes me a couple of days because, man, it had ended up being a much bigger project than what I had planned, but I ended up getting it done. I get the car back to her, and the first 3 days, in fact, that's all it took was 3 days afterwards. She had got, I'd brought her car back, and she's like, well, I'm going to go hang out with my friends or whatever. Okay. I'm not trying to stop that. I'm not that guy. And plus, I was tired, man. I just wanted to be at home and chill. But really, we all know what was going on. In fact, I ended up proving it one night. It was the second night that she had been gone, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go find out if she's really there. So I drove up there, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. That car ain't there, man. I instantly knew what was up. She's out seeing some other dude, playing me the whole time. And then I kind of just got to a point where I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. And so, it sucked. It did hurt, man. It did. And I ended up getting back to the house, and then the next day, I confronted her about it, and she just, of course, came up with every excuse she could in the book and said she didn't love me anymore, and that it was over, and she was getting her stuff. Well, that's fine. Okay, she comes back, gets all of her stuff, takes some of my things, and, the rest is really just history. I could go into the details of everything, but honestly, that's not the point. The point was never to be stuck in this victim mentality. The whole point of everything was to take my experiences of everything that I had dealt with, and I'm telling you, I've got cigarette burns, I've had, some teeth cracked out. That's like why I had to get all of this part of, not all of, so I'm not going to put all the blame on her, but part of it is. And then, let's see, I've countless money, man. I had a truck. Well, while I was locked away, she had taken that truck and ran it into someone's house. Now, I don't know the full story, but I know that somehow my truck got ran into somebody's house, and even though I was in a position that I couldn't have possibly done it, I was still held responsible for it because I was married to her. And I ended up having to pay for that. And it seems like every time like any form of actual relationship comes my way, it is always people of that caliber. And it makes you kind of step back and you think and you ask yourself, you're like, well, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And the truth of the matter is that I still don't know. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me. Maybe it's, well, no, let me take that back. I know what was wrong with me. What was wrong with me was my lack of self-worth and willing to just accept anything for the sake of wanting to fill this void. That's really what it boiled down to. And, some days I wonder all the time about what it would have been like if, that kid would have been born. But sometimes, in fact, every day, I basically have to just block it out and pretend like, it never happened. Man, if you, as a man or a woman or whatever you want to identify with, I don't even care. If you're in a situation that you know better, that you don't need to be in, I'm serious. Like, you're talking, man, come on, dude. I know it's hard. I know it sucks. Trust me, I get it. I truly get it. I know what it's like to be stuck behind a fence, looking at the outside world, not being able to have any control over anything in your life. But I also know what it's like when you look at somebody as almost like your entire world. And you're willing to do anything, go through anything, stick through anything, thinking that you're going to save something that was doomed to begin with. It's never going to happen. It's not. Please, do yourself a favor, go get some help, talk to somebody, and know that you deserve better. Even if that means that you have to be by yourself. When you are alone, you will be your own man. That's the truth. You don't have to worry about being like you're enough, because you are. The reality is most of the people in the world aren't gonna matter. There are very few people in this life that truly ever will come to truly matter and that you can rely on. So please, do yourself a favor and realize your worth. And realize that everything that you could ever want is on the other side of false evidence appearing real. It is. It truly is. And if you're dealing with, domestic violence and stuff like that, say something. Leave. Get your stuff. Go. And if you got to figure out a plan, then do so. But get out, man. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Nothing is worth just dealing with that, man. It's not. And don't feel like, if you're a guy and you're dealing with it from women, don't feel like you're less of a man. Because you're not, dude. You're not. You're not. It doesn't make you less of a man to talk about that happening, man. You got to think about it. We're told throughout society, you don't hit women, you don't hit women, you don't hit women. I mean, come on. I'm not saying that there's not positions in life where you may be forced to. Like if they're literally trying to kill you. But that goes for anybody. Not you. I think you understand what I'm saying. But the point is, it doesn't make you less of a man to talk about it. It doesn't make you a beta male or any of that crap that they try to talk about on, other channels and stuff like that. In fact, they'll all tell you the same thing. Dude, they probably get it. They've probably been there at least once or twice. But I'm telling you, you have got to go get some help for yourself. You got to talk to somebody. You're going to have to do something about it, because until you get to the root of the problem, you're still going to be dealing with that same kind of relationship pattern. And you won't understand why. And you got to get to the point to where you're happy with being by yourself. It's like the most powerful position that you can be in. Especially if you don't have any kids. I'm not saying kids are a bad thing, because they're not. They're a blessing. But if you don't have any kids, and you're a single guy or a single girl, man, I'm telling you, you're in an extremely powerful position. So, use that to your advantage. But I'm telling you, if you are in any form or fashion dealing with domestic violence and abuse and all these things, please talk to somebody, tell somebody, get out, do what's best for you. Quit making excuses, because we both know that's what you're doing. Quit making excuses and do something about it. All right? Cool. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comment section below. If you need to talk to somebody, email me at jgc5150@gmail.com or jgc5150@comcast.net. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for the support. Hit the like, share, comment, subscribe buttons. Hit the bell notification, just in case you want to be notified of any other future videos I upload. But again, like I said, if you need somebody to talk to that you know for sure can actually relate to very serious violence and things like that, I can. I get it. All right? Peace.